guy named James Calhoun. And when Calhoun came to Connecticut, Miller later joined the staff, was here for 7 years, Bob, and they were 7 very successful years.
Well, he certainly has. Both these guys have made their mark already. Of course, Coach Calhoun, a long history, but Glenn Miller, terrific job at Conn College, and certainly looking to build a program that hasn't had. Not many people have had success in the Ivy League against the 2P schools. Been dominated by Penn and Princeton, but certainly he has got a young team and going to be bright days ahead for this Brown team. They have a tough task this evening.
Brown controls the tap. A late change. Suleiman Wan getting the start at center for UConn. So instead of Cox at a third guard, Wan is in there and immediately makes his presence felt. Might have altered that shot somewhat.
Something Jimmy Calhoun's looking for, a presence in the lane.
Talik Brown goes down low baseline. Butler can't get it to go. Rebound last touch by Wan.
I mean, I think that's what you're going to look for early. Jim Calhoun made that comment. He wants a physical presence in a lane, as so many great UConn teams in the past have had. And this is not what Brown does well. That's the one area there they are glaringly weak. They just don't have a post presence, really. Undersized up front.
This is Sean Etheridge, defended on the perimeter by Saunders. Hits the cutter Ware down the lane, and the foul.
Beautiful little back cut there. Looked like he was in trouble on the wing. Another look here. We'll change of direction. See the finish of the play right there. One thing Jim Calhoun will be talking about is not so much the guy getting beat on the back cut, but where was the weak side help getting there? You're going to extend that hard on the wings against the team you're got a little bit more athletic ability. You've got to be able to get that weak side rotation, stop the ball coming to the rack.
Foul on Suleiman Wan, first of the game. So the three-point play by Omari Ware, 50 seconds in, and Brown gets on top first.
Little zone here, not surprising. And try and stay tight in that lane. One thing UConn has not done great in this early part of the season is shoot the three. So going to give away some outside shots, and now they get a hand on the pass, Bob.
Turnover, Ware on the left, it's Hunt. Pull-up jumper. Weak side rebound fought for, and last touch by Saunders. So it'll be Brown ball. You mentioned the Huskies struggling from three-point range, Bob. How about 25% through the first 4 games?
That certainly is atypical, and already Jimmy Calhoun going to the bench. Talik Brown will have a seat, and not a good start for UConn in terms of what they're trying to do with their game plan.
Etheridge missing off the inbound, and here's Mooring up front. Tony Robertson will run the show from the point. Butler no good, and Saunders there for the putback. It's been a monster first 4 games for Edmond Saunders, averaging a double-double.
Now there's different ways to get the ball inside against the zone. You don't always have to get it to the post. You can take the ball on a baseline drive, as we saw there, and that opens up the weak side rebounding. UConn, even though Brown will probably stay in that zone, got to get it inside.
Full court Husky pressure, pull-up jumper by Martin, back rims it, and Robertson with the rebound for UConn.
Bob, one thing, this Brown team will go up and down, unlike what you might think in the Ivy League. They scored 91 points their first 2 games. They will go up and down the floor.
And they led the Ivy League in scoring a year ago. Pass deflected out of bounds. Johnny Selby also in for the Huskies. And at the next opportunity, Marcus Cox will return. So only 1:49 in, and Jim Calhoun has already gone to his bench 3 times.
Well, he's obviously trying to send a message that he wants the game played a certain way. Not surprised. And this has got to be something that he's been looking at in the early season. Not so much the scoreboard, but how they're playing. And as I said, he wants to see certain things. And right now, he's going to look to get that ball inside against his zone.
Cox on the left, finds Mooring. Mooring puts it on the floor and fires. Albert Mooring last year led the Big East in 3-point field goals. That was a deep 2, and UConn takes the lead for the first time.
Tough shot. They never got it in the lane, though. He had to take that one off the dribble going left.
Martin's pass kicked out of bounds by Butler, so a fresh shot clock. Call made by John Cow, who's working tonight's game along with Will Bush and Olandis Poole. UConn 3-1. The lone loss in the opening round of the Maui Invitational to Dayton. Inbound pass deflected by Butler. And when you saw what Dayton did 2 days later to Maryland, that loss to Dayton doesn't seem quite so awful, does it?
Not especially undermanned as UConn was. That's a good Dayton team. Oliver Purnell's done a nice job with that program. Back in the top 25 for the first time in a long, long time.
Suleiman Wan and Karan Butler did not play in the first 3 games because of separate NCAA suspensions. So this is only their 2nd game in a UConn uniform this year, and for Butler, his first in front of the home fans. Pass right sideline to Hunt, juggled, and Butler took it away. On the left finds Saunders, tries for the finish. His shot is blocked by Etheridge, but Butler there to clean up.
effort by Butler. Started the break, made the nice bounce pass, went to the glass, got the stick back. As we said, it'll be a wide open game with Brown. They'll go up and down with you.
Martin's shot rejected by Mooring. Saunders, the home run pass to Selby. Johnny Selby, the National Junior College Player of the Year last year, and Selby rebounding the miss by Hunt. This is an 8-0 UConn run, Bob.
Well, this is right into their hands. This is what they have done well in this early season, is get up and down and play on the open floor. Brown lets them do that. Could get ugly.
And Butler with the runner finds the glass, and Glenn Miller immediately wants to talk it over. So Brown struck first on the 3 by Ware, and it's been all UConn, a 10-0 run since. Timeout, 16:45 to go. First half, UConn leads Brown 2-3. You're watching Big East basketball, ESPN Plus.
A brutal.
Getting it done inside. Watch the follow by Edmond Saunders against the zone, off the drive. Butler with the miss, Saunders with the putback. That's what got it all started. They have been dominating now with their physical superiority. We've seen it in the paint in transition.
Brown has missed its last 5 shots. Another Bears turnover. Butler finds Mooring on the perimeter, and he returns the pass to Saunders. Down low, Butler. Butler is just dynamite from the baseline, isn't he, Bob?
Saunders, nice play, though. Just a nice little dribble around the zone, make them rotate, creates the seam. What you like to see. Big people can put it on the floor and create shots.
12-0 UConn run finally ending on the good look from Etheridge down low to Mike Martin.
A little flex cut. Brown will run that against just about anything. And that time they got it open on the baseline.
On the right, Butler defended by Hunt. Looks like a 2-3 matchup zone for the Bears. Talik Brown back in. Throws up the second time much better. Looked like he was undecided when he went up the first time, Bob.
The problem for Brown is that the very things that they are weakest at really accentuates the difference between these two programs. They want to go up and down, and that plays into UConn's physical superiority, and they are not big inside. We've alluded to that a bunch of times already. So 10-2 in the paint. UConn dominating, leading at 14-5 here in Gamble.
Bob, because Glenn Miller, once Brown gets into the Ivy League schedule, he wants his team to play up and down. And he knows his best chance of beating UConn is to slow it down. But he wants to play the way they want to play over the long haul. And it probably will be hurtful tonight, but in the long run will be helpful.
You've summed it up exactly. If you want to build a program, that's what, as Napoleon said, you're going to take Vienna, take Vienna. So if you're going to play this way, you got to play this way all the time. And I give him credit for doing it, because you're right. It certainly minimizes his chances this evening. But in the long run, going to do his program a lot of good.
That was Eddie Napoleon. He used to be the third base coach for the West Haven Yankees. Mike Martin on the floor. The runner down the lane over Juan. Marcus Cox with great rebound position for a 6'4" guard. Cox, the high school player of the year 2 years ago in Connecticut. Talik Brown in the lane to Juan, who juggles, still loose, and Martin comes up with for Brown. Then to Hunt, 2-on-1 with Tony Robertson back. And Robertson got a great big piece of the ball, but also a piece of Alahi Nualiatia, and he will go to the free throw line to shoot a couple.
I believe he may be single-handedly the reason Brown does not have the names on the back of their jerseys, because I believe they probably had a policy change when he decided to play for them. He had to play basically center for this team last year, undersized, but a good solid player, and he frankly may be a key to whatever success they have, because you can pretty much count on Earl Hunt giving them good numbers. This is a guy who's going to have to step it up when they reach the Ivy League. I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of guys like Tony Robertson who are going to come and try and block his dunks in the Ivies. That was an athletic play, but he's a guy that's going to be important for Brown's team this year.
Got to look at Josh Meyer, who has entered the lineup for Brown. Also, Aju Deng making his first appearance of the night for UConn. Off the missed free throw rebound, Johnny Selby, 8-point Husky lead, exactly 5 minutes into their Gamble Pavilion opener. They played one game in Hartford against Quinnipiac. This is the first of 7 this season on campus. Talik Brown on the baseline. It's Cox. Rebound Selby, tied up by Hunt, held ball, and possession arrow pointing toward UConn.
Hunt's in there competing, and that is the one thing that we were told about this young man. He will play, and certainly on the offensive end, play about as well as anybody that they will face in terms of individual ability. He just obviously doesn't have the supporting cast.
Selby and Robertson depart. Saunders returns along with Mooring for UConn. A year ago, Earl Hunt was the second leading scorer in the Ivy League, and in Ivy League games, he was the leading scorer. Dang off the inbound.
Nice execution on the inbounds. They're getting the ball inside just so easily now. UConn really doing a good job of exploiting the advantage in their quickness and the number of players who can put it to the floor and get it into lane, into paint. 12 points scored inside already by UConn of their 16. That's what we talked about at the top, Bob, and they are showing their superiority right there.
Also in the lineup for Brown for the first time, Jess Wood, number 24.
There's that flex cut again. They're looking on the baseline.
Nualiatia gives up his dribble. Now hands off. He's stripped by Cox. He's all over the place. Saunders to Talik Brown, who juggles and lays it in. Marcus Cox is getting his hands on everything.
He is all around. Jim Calhoun wanted them to make the step up defensively. He's got to be happy with the number of touches they're getting on the basketball. A lot of deflections, a lot of guys impeding the passing lane and bothering the dribbler. Very solid defensive effort, I would think Jim Calhoun would agree, in his first 6 minutes.
And Cox is getting the assignment, at least for now, man-to-man on Hunt, who is yet to score. Nualiatia back outside Hunt, shot clock inside 10. Spin over Cox and gets the run.
That's a big-time shot, because there was nothing wrong defensively there. That was a fine defensive job by Cox. That young man just earned us 2 points.
Hunt already with 76 points early here in his 4th game of the season. Brown's shot is rejected and then caught by Nualiatia. Jess Wood does a header right in front of us, and then Hunt loses it out of bounds.
That was a rather goofy play. I tripped over the midcourt line, I guess. Then a pass was thrown to a guy who wasn't looking. It would have gone out of bounds. And then, who was it? Cox, I guess, dove for it. I'm not sure why, because it would have been UConn ball. And then he almost got tied up. So we had that would clearly go on the all strange tape, I think, at about 4 different levels.
Got to watch out for that midcourt line.
Yeah, it'll jump up and get you. I know it got me a couple times.
It lurks there. Good head fake by Mooring for the pull-up. When halfway down comes out, Saunders there to clean up. Edmund Saunders entering the ball game for UConn, leading the Huskies in rebounding with 10.3 per game. And away from the ball, we're going to get an offensive foul called on the screener on Brown.
I think it's Nualiatia, I believe. I believe it was 34 Nualiatia with trying to set that screen on the flex cut.
That's the first foul of the night for the Bears. And Butler! Oh my goodness, and Glenn Miller immediately wants to talk things over, and he is hot.
Well, even with a talent differential, too easy for Coach Miller's liking, but that is the athleticism of Caron Butler. One catch, nice cut to get free on the baseline, and then turns it into a convincing slam. Let's get another look at it if we can. Nice little cut off the screen by Deng, and then he sees the opening. One dribble. That's what you like as a coach. Don't dilly-dally with it. You got an opening, one dribble to the rack and put it down. Well, even he kind of likes it.
Jim Calhoun told me this week as we looked at the points in the paint all UConn, Bob, Jim Calhoun told me that Butler's multi-dimensional. He can go by you or post you up. He's an average defender, but he's dynamite on defense off the ball.
Well, you know, we talked at the top, Bob, about different ways to score in the paint, not just traditional back to the basket and throw it into the post. If you got slashers and cutters and some versatility at different positions, and you've seen it by a number of guys. You saw the nice drive by Saunders for the dish and the layup. You've seen Caron Butler, and UConn now with a 16-4 advantage, plus 12. Their lead is 14, so pretty much the story of the game is their ability to get the ball inside that Brown defense and score.
UConn, a very different team than the one that Huskies fans saw in the first 3 games. They practice all preseason with Butler and with Juan as members of the starting lineup. Then all of a sudden you lace them up on opening night, you don't have 40% of your starting lineup.
No, I don't think there's any question. You're already trying to make the adjustment to so many important new faces. Then the group, as you said, Bob, that you practice so much with, you have to go out and play important games. I mean, those were big games. Without those guys, I think, in fairness, they're still going to be working out some kinks for the next probably half dozen games. I think that's probably about right. You'll probably see this team get to about 10 games before they really are confident they got a rhythm that they like and are comfortable with.
Nualiatia finds Hunt on the side, this time defended by Butler. Nualiatia again as the shot clock hits 10.
He's a good shooter.
On the right, Wood for 3.
Three-point basket by Jesse Wood.
Jesse Wood can shoot that shot. They got a couple of guys on the perimeter. He's one of them. Nice screen, step back, and got the good look.
Third three-pointer of the season for Jesse Wood, the junior from Buena Vista, Colorado. First 3 attempts of the game for the Bears, and Deng likes that window.
Well, they're just so smooth for such an early part of the season. As you talk about so many different faces, they're just getting the ball right in the guy's hands where he wants it and getting those rhythm shots. Really looking smooth at times on the offensive end for you.
Inside, Deng looks like he may have had a piece of that shot by Ware. Malik Brown with the ball. UConn up 13. We've played 8 minutes. First meeting between these two New England schools in 39 years. Saunders would like to have that one back. Butler catches the air ball and draws the foul. Number 2 on Brown.
Well, there's certain things that you watch, guys, that you just can't teach, and obviously Caron Butler has a nose for the ball. We've seen a couple of times where he's been a step ahead of everybody else. That was one of them, creating the foul off that offensive rebound.
Aju Deng has certainly made his presence felt in the early going. UConn with their deep roster up 13. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN+.
He'll have his team up for us, and I'm sure he's built us up like Kentucky to get his guys ready to play.
Well, Kentucky's 1-3, so you know, actually Brown's only 1-2, so maybe he's overrating his opponent a bit there, or underrating.
You think Jim alluded to that record in his pregame chat? He said, you know, these guys have a better record than Kentucky.
I don't think we're on in Kentucky, so I'm safe at least for another night from people coming in my driveway. Turnover there by UConn, one of the few that they've had. It's their third of the ball game, and Brown has to work so hard just to get a shot off every possession.
Josh Meyer for 3, and the rebound. Juan fighting for it with Mooring, and Mooring takes it away.
He's actually their leading three-point shooter. That one didn't look all that smooth, but he likes that shot.
Malik Brown finds Mooring. We've played 9 minutes. UConn by 13. Mooring, a long 3, and a long rebound, run down by Juan, and a fresh 35. Mooring again, this time puts it on the floor. Rebound kept alive. Mooring nearly tipped it in. Saunders draws the foul and will get to the line. 5 rebounds for Edmond Saunders, less than halfway through the first half.
Well, they just are, as the old cliche, UConn just using their first shot like a pass, because every one they miss is 2, 4, 6 white jerseyed hands trying to get up and put it back in the basket. And unless Brown can figure out a way to at least get some of those sloppy rebounds, the ones that get slapped around and wind up on the floor, like the long rebound that came out that Juan got, those are the ones that Brown's got to try and get a hand on and secure some of those.
Second foul on Nualiatia, third team foul on the Bears, as Glenn Miller goes back to his bench. Mike Martin, who started, returning. Nualiatia will sit down with the 2 fouls. Edmond Saunders, outstanding start to his senior year, averaging a double-double through his first 4 games. Here's a guy in the long history of UConn basketball, Bob, and this is the 100th year of UConn basketball. Only one player has a higher career field goal shooting percentage than Edmond Saunders.
You know, we've spent so much time talking about the new guys, Bob. Maybe we haven't done justice to Edmond Saunders, Albert Mooring. There's some talent back on this ball club. There's no question about that. You're not going to win the Big East with just young guys. They have some experienced veteran players.
Martin for 3, back rims at Saunders with rebound number 6. He's 7th in the Big East in rebounding. Mooring to Butler as UConn just killing Brown off the backboard early. And Tony Robertson hitting the pull-up jump. Robertson growing up in the shadows of the Brown campus in East Providence, Rhode Island. We're halfway through the first half exactly, and it's UConn by 16. Matt McCloskey, number 3 in the lineup for Brown, as is Matt McLagan, number 55. Glenn Miller will probably play all 15 players that made the trip tonight for Providence. And Juan picks McLagan's pocket, and Saunders brings it up the floor. An eventful trip. All's well that ends well. Robertson back to Saunders, and here comes Martin the other way. Butler quickly catches up. Hunt, pull up. Rebound Juan. Play a little ragged the last couple of possessions.
Well, we're going up and down. We knew they were going to.
Butler back rims to 3, long rebound to Juan. Goes to Butler, goes off his knee. Saunders turnaround. Rebound Hunt. On the right, it's Hunt. He's open. Buries the 3. You have to find Hunt every time Brown has the ball.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. He's proven it And they'll score against anybody. This is the danger. You've got some veteran players for UConn, and they know the talent differential here. And Jim Calhoun certainly has got to have a little slack in the rope, but on the other hand, he's got a lot of young players he's trying to incorporate into his system. And if you give it a little too much slack, then you start worrying about when are you going to be able to reel it back in. Coaches always believe there's no way to turn it on and off. So that's the battle that Jim Calhoun will have here.
Mooring drives and trips over the foot of McLegan, who will be whistled for his first foul and number 4 on Brown.
And Jim Calhoun off the bench, shaking his head. He's clearly not pleased, as you said, Bob, with the fact that it's gotten a little ragged the last few minutes. He doesn't want to see that. I don't think there's any question, and barring the unforeseen, this game is going to wind up as a victory for UConn, but that's not the battle for what Jim Calhoun's looking here. With a lot of those issues we talked about, incorporating new players, trying to establish a rhythm in terms of a style of play early in the year. Those are the things he's looking at. You can tell he hasn't been pleased the last few minutes.
Off the inbound, Robertson with the easy shot. Selby missing the tip. And Hunt gets the rebound for Brown. UConn so often gets such a good look when they inbound underneath their own basket.
You're right, Bob. They do a terrific job. Nice drive there. Beautiful drive.
Amari Ware.
Yeah, going left hand off the glass on the baseline dribble. Oh, that's dangerous pass.
His first 2 points of the night for Ware. Mooring leaves his feet and draws a foul. As will be number 5 on the Bears. Mooring, by the way, won't get to the line this time, but he certainly gets to the line quite often. 39 free throws in his first 4 games, and he's made 34 of them.
Well,
great fouls.
Yeah, we talked about that. The returning guys have got to change their roles a little bit. And you tell Jim Calhoun about Karan Butler being a star. He's going to tell you, no, a star on this team is Albert Mooring. He makes that very clear, and he's going to have to do the things you talked about. Get night in and night out, get to the free throw line the same way Saunders is going to have to generate on the back roads, as you talked about a few moments ago.
Meyer picks up his second foul, and that's 6 on Brown, so 1 more, and UConn will go to the free throw line, where the Huskies have struggled through their first 4 games, shooting only 65%. Down low. Selby kicks it right back out to Cox. Robertson beats Hunt off the dribble. And on the weak side, Selby runs down the rebound with some great hustle. Takes it right back to the hole himself. Cox looking for the rebound inside. Last touch by UConn. Bringing us to a timeout with 7:41 to go in the first half. Glenn Miller and Brown trailing UConn by 11.
Hey there, time for a holiday. So switch off your computers and take a national holiday.
Off the Great Alaska Shootout title a week or so ago, beating Colgate by 16 at halftime. We'll talk about Syracuse and the entire Big East. How Syracuse has turned some heads early in the season.
Oh, absolutely. They, team Jimmy Calhoun. Looking at Jimmy Calhoun, I'm thinking of Jimmy Boeheim. I'm not sure that either one of them would appreciate being confused with the other, but Jim Boeheim, I think, really likes his team, and it's a very, very dangerous ball club because people, I think, are underestimating Syracuse.
Hunt outside Ware for 3. Can't get it to go. Long rebound. McLegan started to go up and looked like he tripped over a UConn player and will draw the foul. It's only 3 team fouls on the Huskies, and Aju Deng will be whistled for his first personal.
You know, Brown also starting to lose a little bit of the deer in the headlights look they had early. That's only human nature. You come in and play a team of UConn's caliber, and it's certainly not the ilk that they're used to facing. And I think they've settled down a little bit and getting some of the opportunity points like that one. That was a good effort play. Did a nice job keeping it alive. McLegan did. Gets to the line.
Talik Brown returning for UConn. It's a homecoming of sort for McLegan. He's a Connecticut kid out of East Haven. Went to Hamden Hall. Brown and UConn have played quite often, 43 times, but not since 1961.
Well, and this game wouldn't have come about if they hadn't had a late opening in their schedule, from what Glenn Miller said. So look at the hustle play, though. Brown now starting to get some hustle plays, and I know that won't make Jim Calhoun happy.
Brown to inbound in its forecourt. Martin, nobody home there, and instead picked off by Butler. Finds Mooring on the left wing, and the foul.
Good finish there. Good, solid, straightforward break. Take it to the middle, make the defense commit. One pass, and the finish. That's what you like to see. If you got numbers, you don't want to be making extra passes, giving the defense a chance to react. The one pass, you front the ball, takes it strong to the rack with the right hand, draws the foul. Another good look at it right here.
UConn had missed its last 6 shots before that Albert Mooring layup. As we mentioned, Mooring now 35 of 40 from the free throw line. He's 5th in the Big East in free throw shooting percentage. He went to the line on opening night against Quinnipiac 16 times and made 15 of them.
You know, the thing, I want to get back to Butler for a minute. That little pass may look like a simple thing. That shows me something. As a freshman, he's not looking to do the flashy or the spectacular. He can, but he doesn't look to do it. Simple pass there and turned in with 3-point play.
McLegan down low will draw the foul on Juan. That will be number 2 on Suleiman and 4 on the Huskies. So McLegan making his presence felt on the last 2 ground possessions.
This is something that Jim Calhoun's been concerned about early, the presence that UConn has had inside. And you see McLegan with the good position, goes baseline, and Juan, even though he feels probably he's just putting his hand straight up, you can see he's leaning forward, takes the foul, and those are the kinds of plays, obviously, when they get to the Big East or against Arizona, they're going to come back to hurt a team like UConn. So that has been a concern of Jim Calhoun's, and he's still up and very emotional. It's surprising to see Jim Calhoun emotional, I know, but
there's an upset.
he's I think, going to be a point of emphasis for him early in the year as they get ready for their Big East Conference game.
Patrick Powers checks into the lineup for Brown. UConn will play Arizona here at Gamble on December 9th. And Lauren Woods, great All-American for the Wildcats, who is serving a 6-game suspension, will be back for that one. Good look inside to Saunders.
That's what Jim Calhoun wants. A little patience, little ball movement, make the defense react, simple bounce pass and finish. That's what they were getting early when they put that big run together. Nice job right there.
7.6 rebounds early for Edmond Saunders. Well on his way to perhaps a 4th double-double of the season. Down low, McLegan, and Butler with an acrobatic play to take it away, and an even more acrobatic play for Talik Brown to hop over the scorer's table without killing either himself or anyone else.
That was rather sensational.
Imagine if you or I tried. We would have pulled
that
3
might be a
muscles.
halftime promotion, Bob.
We would have pulled 3 muscles and wiped out 3 people at the scorer's table and another 2 in the opening row.
Very safe landing, which was the big thing.
Selvey replacing Juan for the Huskies. Omari Ware gets the screen from Etheridge. Now down low, nice pick and roll, and Etheridge converts.
Nice presence down there. If he'd gone right up, he'd have had that shot smacked to about where Talik Brown went over the scorer's table. Instead, the little head fake takes it to the other side of the rim and finishes.
Brown finds Butler on the left. Mooring, pull up 3. Front rims it, long rebound Martin, and here comes Brown. UConn gets back quickly on defense. It's an 11-point lead and another turnover for Brown. You know, Glenn Miller told me this week, Bob, that I want to see how disciplined we are no matter what the margin on the scoreboard is. Right. I still want to see us run our stuff.
Yes.
And we're seeing it in bits and pieces that they are running the sort of offense that he wants.
A little, you can just tell, a little over anxious, trying to keep up with the athleticism of UConn. A lot of guys forced to play at speeds that are a little bit quicker than they're comfortable, and you see turnovers like the last one.
10 turnovers for Brown. Down low to Selvey, getting the sweet position off the feed from Talik Brown, who's 8th in the Big East in assists.
Nice delivery by Brown. Nice bounce pass. Gave it to him just as the cutter came free. He has time to finish.
On the right, wide open 3 is no good. Taken by Patrick Powers, another Connecticut youngster from Stanford. And at the other end, Powers will be whistled for a blocking foul. That will be his first, 8 on Brown. So the Huskies will go to the line to shoot the 1-and-1.
Brown foul number 32, Patrick Powers.
Glenn Miller was a great high school player here in Connecticut at Fitch High School in Groton, which is in the southeastern corner of the state. He was actually a high school All-American, began his college career here at UConn, played 2 years under Dom Perno, then transferred to Northeastern, played the last 2 under Jim Calhoun there, actually came back to UConn to get his degree, so he's a UConn alum. And then, as we mentioned a couple of times, spent 7 years as an assistant. He was the restricted earnings coach, Bob, and he was the guy basically responsible for, among other things, scouting the opponents, you know, breaking down the game video, providing the team with the, you know, with the game plan and whatnot. An absolutely critical position on any step.
It's a great training ground. It always was. It's nuts and bolts. If the head coach would give you the opportunity, a lot of times it was different at each school, but obviously Jim Calhoun let him really have a hands-on approach to the X and O's part of the game.
10 points already for Karan Butler. A three by Etheridge. No good. Rebound by Johnny Selby. Selby with 5 rebounds. Inside Butler. Can't get it to go. Saunders was rebound number 7. Up top Butler, and UConn will reset the offense with 4.5 to go.
UConn has just owned the baseline. They have gotten the ball deep on the baseline probably 10 times, and good things have happened whenever they've gotten it in there.
On the left, Robertson for 3. Long rebound to Patrick Powers along the baseline for Brown. Quickly, here come the Bears. Pull up 3, Martin. No good. Saunders deflects the rebound to Butler. Finds the point guard Brown. Back to the trailer Butler. Wild shot, but he drew the foul, which is all he really wanted out of the situation.
Good presence of mind to know he had established the contact. Make sure you throw it up there so you know you get the 2 free throws. 2 youngsters combined there for good solid play. Look at Brown with the you know what, that looks flashy, but from a coach's standpoint, it's really solid. He came to the free throw line, came to a 2-foot jump stop. The fact that he did a little bit of a look away, put a little pizza, a little mustard rather, on a little pizzazz. Italians, we want to add food to everything. But the fact is, it was a good solid play and wound up drawing the foul.
Not only food, but a particular cuisine.
Yeah,
I noticed he didn't say knockwood.
No, well, he was ready to put a little rigatoni maybe on it, which would be wonderful right now. But you gotta like that. You gotta like guys who know how to play. You know what? You can teach only so much, but there's a certain essence about whether guys understand how to play, and you can tell in a very short while Caron Butler and Talik Brown know how to play. The little simple things we talked about, fronting the ball on the break before from Caron Butler. We're talking about Brown not getting in too deep where he has no options. Those are things that are difficult to teach. It's kind of instinctive, and these 2 kids have it.
The foul was on Powers, his 2nd. Butler will depart after the free throw. He's got 11 points. Marcus Cox returning for UConn. Butler had 20 points on opening night against, or his opening night against Louisville in Hawaii. Comes back with 11 points here in the first 16 minutes. Largest lead of the night for UConn at 16 as we hit the 4-minute mark. Etheridge turns it over. Morey to Saunders. You can see that coming. And a technical foul will be called on Saunders by John Cow for hanging on the rim.
Jim Calhoun not particularly pleased, but let's see if we can take another look at off the dribble. A nice pass. Mooring puts it up. Sanders grabs it, does a little chin up, and because of that, it's going to cost him a technical. But pretty simply spectacular. The press forces the turnover, open court, and they make no mistakes.
So Earl Hunt will shoot the free throw. So by rule, Saunders assessed a personal foul as a result of the technical. He's charged with a personal, his first. Timeout, 3:54 to go first half. UConn's biggest lead of the night. It's 18. Back at Gamble Pavilion where UConn leads by 17. Let me correct myself. A couple of new rule changes in the NCAA this year, and one of them concerns technical fouls. What you saw Edmund Saunders do hanging on the rim, that's what is known as an indirect technical. It's 1 shot instead of 2, and he has not assessed the personal, and UConn has not assessed the team foul. Were it a direct technical for an unsportsmanlike conduct violation, for example, it's still by rule 2 shots plus you get nailed with a personal and a team foul.
But the other change, though, Bob, which is even more significant, is like the NBA, the ball doesn't automatically change hands anymore. That was a very severe penalty, 2 shots, and if you were in possession, you lost the ball. Now you'll get the ball back this year. So I think a lot of people thought that the penalties may have been a bit too severe, and because of that, officials may have been reluctant to call technical fouls because it was such a severe punishment. Now it gives them a chance to make that call without overreacting, if you will, because that was very difficult to give up 2 shots and the basketball.
With the shot clock inside 10, Brown throws it away off the hands of Hunt in the post. Turnover number 12 for Brown.
Replacing Talik Brown.
Talik Brown will depart for the Huskies, who lead it by 17. UConn right back at it on Thursday night here at Gamble Pavilion against the University of Houston under first-year coach Ray McCallum. The Huskies beat Houston in their first ever meeting between the 2 schools last year. That was the Jake Bosco homecoming tour down in Houston. Jake, of course, now a rookie with the Chicago Bulls, along with his rookie teammate from UConn, Khalid El-Amin. Inside Brown with the ball along the baseline, trying to throw it off Selby. That didn't work. Good idea by Wood, but poor on the execution.
Look at that.
No look.
Look at that.
Pass.
That's what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about, Butler. Before he started that cut, Bob, he knew where that basketball was going. And that's the kind of thing, like I said, you can drill all you want to. You're not teaching that.
11 points for Saunders. Martin goes by Saunders on the dribble and will get to the free throw line.
Beautiful touch pass. That's the anticipation, guy knowing the game. Take a look. There's the ball that was tried to throw it off his leg, unable to do it. Taken by Selby. All the youngsters, nice job there. Butler, the touch pass, even before he had it, knew he was going to put it in the hands of Saunders, and no mistakes there when you throw it to the big fella that close to the basket. Nice transition. Good anticipation by Butler.
Foul on Saunders, his first 5 on UConn, and Mike Martin makes the first free throw. Saunders will sit down. 11 points in the first 17.5 minutes and 7 rebounds for Edmond Saunders. So 3 rebounds away from yet another double-double. Brown going to the bench. McLegan and Ware will return for Glenn Miller's club.
I'll tell you one thing Jim Calhoun has to be pleased about. 12 assists already for UConn. If you look at the stats, Bob, that's one thing the first games they have not done a good job of. They are averaging more turnovers than they are assists, and not many assists to begin with. So have 12.5 means the ball's moving. That's what you got to like to see in a game like this.
On the left, it's Cox, pull-up jumper. Rebound off the hands of Deng. Butler runs it down. Hands to Mooring. And as Mooring starts to put it on the floor, the hold is called on Wood. And there's a textbook example of how the officiating this year, the point of emphasis on the contact, and the officials, well, Art Highland, the commissioner, the supervisor officials in the Big East, told us all on a preseason conference call, if you put 2 hands on the man with the ball as he starts to make a move to the hoop, you're going to get whistled for a foul every single time. And we're not just going to call these things in December. We're going to call them all year round.
Well, that's the bottom line. The first part of the equation is fine as long as the second part's there. What'll drive people crazy is if all of a sudden, as we get close to tournament time, the officiating philosophy changes. That'll cause 5 more problems than it solves. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good. And even more than with the dribbler, talking about chucking the cutters and the guys away from the ball, that's the one that most of us wanted to see cleaned up. He was getting way too physical away from the basketball. Good defense there.
Another turnover as Ware airmails that one. That's 13 turnovers.
You don't get a turnover like that unless everybody's doing their job, Bob. The guy on the dribbler has got to make it difficult for him to change direction, and then on the wing, hand in the passing lane. That's why you got to like that as a coach. Team defense.
Cox got hung up in the air without knowing what to do. Wild shot, held ball, possession arrow aiming toward Brown this time. Brown averaging 24 turnovers a game and well on their way to equaling that tonight. Coming up on the National Car Rental Halftime Report, Bob and I will take a look at the Big East Wire. We'll tell you about the preseason polls in the 2 divisions, plus Bob's dark horse picks in each division. Some out-of-town scores and first half highlights from this one. That's coming up at halftime, a mere minute 38 away.
Old-fashioned high post scissor there. Got a wide open look for Jesse Wood, not able to knock it down.
Butler with the runner from the left.
Tough
no
shot.
good. Long rebound to Mooring. Mooring throws up the 3. Got it.
Well, they'll like to see that. They haven't had much need to shoot threes tonight, but that certainly is going to be a welcome sight for Jim Calhoun. Early in the season, UConn has not shot it well, and that's one guy who's got to get the 3-ball going. Albert Mooring looked good on that one.
Mooring's 8th of the season. He had a Big East leading in a UConn record 86 last year. Minutes to go in the half, a 22-point UConn lead. Hunt with the catch and shoot. Rebound Justin Brown, the sophomore from Australia, who checks into the lineup. And down low, we talked about cleaning up the play, and that was yet another point of emphasis. The play in the post. We were told that if you back your man down when you don't have the ball, you're going to get called, and Selby did.
Yeah, and another good rule, I think. It's gotten very, very difficult. You let that go to finally get control of the basketball game. You know, you talk about officials not wanting to decide it, but just stepping out of it and letting anything go is not justice either.
Down low, McLegan with a good head fake and finish.
Nice bounce pass. Good finish on the block.
20-point UConn lead. About a 4-second differential between the shot clock and game clock. And away from the play, Justin Brown whistled for a 3-second violation. That wasn't a point of emphasis, was it?
I believe that's been in the book for a while.
Seldom called, though. It's called about as often as the third base coach, speaking of Eddie Napoleon again, having to stay in the box. And that'll be the last Eddie Napoleon reference of the night, I promise.
He's being honored at halftime. We've worked him into the broadcast quite a bit tonight.
Now the shot clock is off.
Now use a lot of dribble rubs because you've kind of put so much pressure on the ball. Brown's doing a lot of weave type action out on the front.
Hunt. Rebound comes out to Butler. Would have counted. About the only thing he didn't do.
That bit of a spectacular end of the half for a young man who's been spectacular in his UConn debut, at least on television side. 11.7 rebounds. He's been a solid newcomer to this team, and they put a solid half together.
So we're halfway home here at Gamble Pavilion. Caron Butler with 11, Edmund Saunders with 11, and UConn with a big fat 20-point lead over Brown. The Big East Wire is next. Bob Picozzi, Bob Valvano back at Gamble Pavilion in Stores, where UConn leads Brown by 20 as we await the start of the second half. And good things do come in threes, Bob.
Well, look at how would you like to have your three new players combined for 19 points, 18 rebounds, and 8 assists? And these guys have done it in the way you like to see as well. They've made the simple plays as well. It's been spectacular at times. You said it at the top. Good things, packages of three, maybe great things, because these guys can, at least in my eye, have the whole package. They understand the game, and they certainly have the ability to go with that knowledge.
Caron Butler will inbound directly in front of us. 6'7" freshman from Racine, Wisconsin, who comes to UConn by way of Maine Central Institute.
Good look at that tattoo, but I was trying to make out what it was exactly on his arm as he was in front of us.
I think it was a picture of you, Bob.
I'm not sure. I would recognize that, I think. Nice turnaround there.
Suleiman Wan with his first points of the evening. Wan, the graduate student, already has his undergraduate degree in political science. Graduated in 3.5 years. Young man from Senegal. By graduating in 3.5 years, he regained that 4th year of eligibility, which he had lost by not academically qualifying his first year at UConn. That happens so often, Bob, with players from foreign countries who are unable to achieve the minimum test scores on the standardized tests, which are very difficult for them because they come from different cultures.
No, they have a foreign language too. They're taking it in a different language often, so it is difficult. He put on a clinic defensively, by the way. Juan did a nice job on the ball, then got a hand on the pass, and now gets the defensive rebound. He did it all on that possession.
Talik Brown baseline to Mooring, and we'll get our first foul of the second half on Brown. It will be on Nualiatia, his third. Haven't seen much of him because he picked up his second foul early and only managed to play 9 minutes in the first half. Off the inbound, Butler finds Talik Brown, misses the layup. 3 UConn players fight for the rebound, and they combine to knock it out of bounds.
Here's the challenge if you're the coaches in this game. Jim Calhoun has got to try and reinforce his style of play, get these new guys getting comfortable with each other, continuing that unselfish play. And, you know, Glenn Miller has got to do what you talked about earlier, Bob. He's got to say this is the way we're going to play, and now go out and try and do a better job this half than he did the first half. And do it the way he wants to do, by up-tempo playing, shooting the three, playing very aggressively. And sometimes that's hard to do because it's already 22 and could get worse playing this way, but that's the way you build a program, and he knows that.
Nualiatia down low, head fakes, then shoots over Wan. Nice move by the 6'6" sophomore from Philadelphia, who was a high school teammate of one Kobe Bryant.
I don't believe he dated Brandy, I'm not sure.
Saunders sets the screen. Then gets the return pass from Brown. And the rebound pulled down by Nualiatia. Well, if he may have dated Brandy, but not the Brandy. Would have been another one.
Randy Chastain. Now we're starting rumors. We shouldn't do that. Call them.
Ware on the left. Now reverses it to Etheridge.
Good
for 3.
skip. Good skip. You get that kind of pressure, means you're going to have to look for weak side help, and when the weak side guy jumps in there, you've got to exploit it, throw it over the top. Nice skip, and they finally knocked down a good look from the perimeter. They've had a couple of good looks. That was off the good pass.
First three-pointer of the season for Etheridge, who is returning to his home state. He's from Portland, Connecticut, played at Xavier High School in Middletown. Mooring misses the 3. And the weak side rebound by Mike Martin. Here comes Brown. Nice look to Nualiatia. Jim Calhoun doesn't like at all what he sees, and he calls for a timeout with 17:34 remaining, and the UConn lead down to 15. So the one thing about Glenn Miller's club is they're playing hard. Hey, they were losing by 40 last Saturday to Boston College, and they had a 15-0 second half run.
Now they're a young team, and they got to keep playing hard, doing what they do. There you see the skip pass, the nice look, and that's what we call a rhythm jumper. You catch it right in the rhythm. He goes up, and Etheridge knocks it down. Here they are in transition. Nice touch pass there. Hunt, as we said, has the whole game. He's only a sophomore, remember, and finds Nualiatia. Nice layup, and that's the one that triggered the timeout from Jim Calhoun, who I believe would have pulled all the players back to the bench by their jerseys had he been able to reach far enough out on the floor. That's what I said. That's the challenge. How do you keep them focused when they know they've got the game clearly in hand? But that was the one that got his attention, because it's only the second time Brown has scored in transition. That's an indication of defensive concentration, and Jim Calhoun just re-got their concentration. We'll see how they do out of the break.
7-0 Brown run. As you see, the Bears have hit 3 of their first 4 shots coming out of the locker room at halftime.
They've done a good job exploiting the baseline whenever Brown's gone to the zone. There it is again.
Malik Brown drives the baseline, rebound in traffic to Selby, rejected inside by Etheridge, and a foul will be called on the Bears. That will be the second foul on Brown here in the second half.
Brown foul number 12, Mike.
Take a look here. There's what we talked about on the baseline dribble. As the defense comes to help, it opens up the rebounding lanes. It's one of the best things about getting in there against the zone. Zones are vulnerable to rebounding anyway. Once you start getting the baseline guys running around, gives the opportunity for people like Saunders to get to the offensive glass and stick it back. And that has been the best thing they've done against that zone, is exploit that baseline. Done a good job of it. Good spacing, good passing angles, good anticipation. As soon as the driving alley's there, they're beating the weak side rotation down in there, and that's what's opening up all those lanes, all the rebounding lanes.
Foul was on Mike Martin, his second. Couple of free throws by Saunders, who now has 13 points and 8 rebounds. 17-point UConn lead. Mike Martin, defended by Mooring. Etheridge, can he hit another 3? That's his second. So he went 3 games and 20 threes all year, and he hits 2 in about 40 seconds.
Coach Calhoun trying to jumpstart the defense, ran 2 guys at the dribbler. When you do that, run the risk of a wide open look, and the young man knocked it down.
Saunders puts it on the floor, then throws it behind Malik Brown. So Glenn Miller has to like what he sees with his Brown troops, who will visit Denver next Sunday in their next game following this one. Have their Ivy League opener on January 12th at Dartmouth. Brown 4 for 5 from the floor here in the second half. Down low, Martin rejected by Mooring. Martin gets it back. Rebound, Hunt weak side for the putback.
Now that's got to make Coach Calhoun upset, because it got to the post, and then they got a couple of stickbacks. That's the thing that Brown cannot be allowed to do against the Huskies. They shouldn't have the physical ability to be able to do that.
And Malik Brown answers at the other end with a runner. The freshman from Corona Park, New York. That's your old neighborhood, isn't it?
Absolutely. My stomping grounds. I was born in the Lemon Ice King of Corona. I wonder if Malik knows that. I'll have to ask about that after the game.
So, I mean, does that have one of those signs? Welcome to Corona Park, New York.
I don't know.
Former home of the Valvanos.
Might be Uptown Park. We were in Corona. He might have lived in the Estates, the Corona Estates. I don't know. I'll have to ask him about that as well.
First 2 points of the night for Malik Brown. Baseline Butler. Rebound off the hands of Selby, and then chasing it down is Ware. 3-on-3 Brown opportunity. Rejected by Mooring. Here's a 4-on-1 UConn. Oh! Butler will draw the blocking foul. Was perhaps a little bit too far from the hoop to finish that one, but he will get to the free throw line.
I don't know, but I'm going to guess there aren't a lot of Ivy teams that would make those 2 plays at each end. I know who good Penn and Princeton are, but look at the block. Mooring came from across the lane, and then we keep going here. Watch Butler where he tries to dunk this from. I think he jumps from there. Look like the Doc. Look like Dr. J in that old ABA All-Star game where he jumped to the foul line. He was about 12 feet away. And I'm not sure if he didn't get fouled if he wouldn't have made the dunk. That was just spectacular there. I'm telling you. It was easy to see why people are excited about these kids. They are very, very... The upside is so great because they do the spectacular and they do the solid. That's a rare the fundamental. That's a rare combination.
Caron Butler with his 12th and 13th points of the evening. Timeout, 15 minutes left. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN+. The Big East, formerly the land of the point guards out of New York City. Mark Jackson doing such a great job at St. John's in the mid-'80s, as did Pearl Washington at Syracuse, both out of New York. Well, we've come full circle. And Bob, after a period of years where some of the top point guards from New York went elsewhere, how about landing these three in the same freshman class?
Boy, and they're all the real deal, too. You know, coaches used to get nervous about Marcus Cook and Andre Barrett, and of course, and Talik Brown, but used to get nervous about playing freshmen at guard, especially in the college game, because it's such a guard-oriented game. But as the college game gets younger, and you got guys of this caliber, you watch what Talik Brown does. He doesn't play like a freshman. And I think all those programs are in very, very good hands with those guys. They are solid and spectacular at the same time. That's a pretty good combination, Robert.
Talik Brown with 6 assists already tonight, with 15 minutes left in the ball game. Etheridge starts to go, blocked by Butler. Here's a 4-on-2 Husky break. Mooring to Selby. Rebound Butler. Rebound Saunders. Rejected by Ware, but Butler gets it back. Mooring for 3. That was just the way it was diagrammed on the blackboard.
I'm not sure what Jim Calhoun said in the timeout, but boy, they got fired up. Good defensive possession. They got a good defensive rotation. Then they swarmed the offensive boards, and they hit the 3. That was all effort there. That was a rejuvenated UConn Husky squad.
Second 3 of the night for Mooring. Martin gets sweet position inside, misses the shot. Saunders goes down hard. Mooring heads the other way.
Look at that presence of mind. That's really very, very easy for a freshman to take the ball there, driving into trouble. Took a quick look, got out of trouble, it's into the offense.
Talik Brown on the drive, looks inside for Saunders, no good. Rebound Saunders, head fakes, goes up, and draws the foul. And Edmund Saunders has his 4th double-double in this, only his 5th game of the season. 11 rebounds, 13 points, going to the line to try to make 2 more. Talik Brown with 6 assists in the early going.
Really taking control of the game when it's needed to be, and that's been maybe the most impressive thing. Spectacular physical ability will only get you so far in conferences like the Big East. You've got to also have the ability to know when to run, when to pull it back, when to set it up, when to take a risk. And I've been impressed with his decisions tonight. Not a particularly good decision right there, unfortunately.
Lane violation on the Huskies will negate that free throw attempt by Saunders.
Johnny Selby, I guess, there would have been encroachment there in football. He was way offside there.
Selby was the National Junior College Player of the Year last year at Southeastern Community College in Iowa. Baseline jumper is good.
Good unselfish play.
Jesse Wood.
Unselfish play by Hunt. He had the good look and passed it up for the better look, even though he's their leading scorer.
5 points for Wood tonight. The UConn lead is 18, 6 minutes into the second half. Butler gets the high screen from Saunders and shoots from behind it. Saunders with rebound number 12.
Gave him the screen and went to the glass and got the stick back. He's been really active tonight, out chasing the ball. Been very, very, has been a big factor on the glass at both ends.
16 points and a dozen rebounds for the senior from Waterbury. Etheridge going for his 3rd 3. Nice weak side rebound by Nualiatia. Hunt, good hands to recover. And a good shooting touch as well.
He's a fine player. He's only a sophomore, remember. Made some nice passes. And another guy's got very good presence of mind out there. And good shooting touch as well. He can go away from the basket as well as take it to the hole.
Hunt in double figures with 10. And Talik Brown stepped on the end line as Zhu Deng will return to the lineup for UConn, giving Saunders a rest. Edmund Saunders had an outstanding trip to Hawaii. 10 points, 14 rebounds against Dayton. 11 points against Chaminade. 13 points and 12 rebounds against Louisville. And tonight, 16 points and 12 rebounds. UConn just 4 for 16 from the floor in the second half, shooting only 39% from the floor for the game. But the big story, Bob, is the number of shot attempts and the way UConn has controlled the board.
Oh, nice cut. Nice finish. That's a good, very good job out of Earl Hunt there. Not only the timing on the cut, but as he caught the ball, sensed the defense behind him. Well, as soon as he drew the contact, I don't know if you'll be able to see the cut right there over the top of the screen, and he realizes the defense is behind him, so he takes the good quick turn over the left shoulder, puts it off the glass, draws the foul. Just a touch foul, but still a good sense of where the defense is. Especially when you're playing a team as athletic as UConn, you've got to be able to make that quick decision. That was a good one right there.
Foul on Butler was his first, and Talik Brown hanging in the air.
Well, I love
7th and 8th points.
Love lead guards who can get in the lane and make that little leaner, that jump stop. He's taking one going right, he's taking one going left. Just adds so much to your concern defensively. What do you do on that?
This is a 3 for Hunt. So Hunt catching fire here in the second half. He now has 15 points, averaging 25 per game. He had 33 points in Brown's only win this season against High Point. 23 on opening night against Wagner. Robertson to Deng.
Might have missed a couple there. Might have been a walk and a block.
Deng follows his own miss, and Hunt stripped him. Here's a 4-on-1 Brown break. And Nualiatia for the finish. Jim Calhoun doesn't like 4-on-1 breaks against his team.
And Hunt is fired up, and Jimmy, Jimmy Calhoun to you, Papa Cozy. I made you the coach of UConn. Beautiful left-handed bounce pass by Hunt. Again, little things like that are what you look for. You had the dribble going with the left hand. He makes the defensive play, clean block. Now he takes it again. He's got numbers. You want to keep it simple. Make the defense commit. One bounce pass leads to the layup with the left hand right off the dribble. Little thing like that for a sophomore shows his versatility. He's a good player, that Earl Hunt. There's no question about that. And he's got it going a little bit here in the second half.
UConn with its second timeout. Glenn Miller told me this week, I'm a fierce competitor who wants to win right away. I have to constantly remind myself to be patient. It's difficult to judge where we are because wins and losses and margins of defeat so often don't tell the whole story.
Well, and not only, let's keep in mind, in fairness, since 1960, there's only been 2 teams in the Ivy League that don't start with P that have won the championship. So it's not a lot of parity there. Brown is one of those teams. They did do it under Mike Singheiser, but it is going to be a more than one-step program. There's no question about it.
Brown won the Ivy League title in 1986. Its only Ivy League title in 47 years. Left side 3 by Robertson. Good hustle in the lane for the rebound by Marcus Cox. Cox went to Colby Cathedral High School in Bridgeport, the school that produced the all-time leading scorer in UConn history, Chris Smith. Down low, Jesse Wood. Good feed to the cutter.
They look like a completely different team. It's the problem. We used to say, you convince them that they can play with you, and then your job's twice as hard. Brown feels like they've got a little bit of confidence. Well, they should, playing better. 7
points for Ware. Pass into the post, knocked out of bounds by Meyer, and that will bring us to an official timeout. 11:14 to go in the ball game. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN+. It's been an inspired second half for Brown. UConn leading it by 13, 11:14 to go. Now let's take a look at the Volkswagen Big East leaders and the three-point field goal shooting story. How about Mike Bray's Notre Dame Irish? 54% from behind the arc so far.
You can beat some people who shoot 54% from behind the three. As a guy who loved the three back in my coaching days, that warms my heart. I'll tell you what. Look at UConn, though, 23.5. But that'll certainly, you've got to think, will change. You've got too many guys who are capable, most notably that guy right there, capable of shooting it at a lot better percentage than that.
So UConn 2 of 8 tonight. They have only 10 3-pointers on the year, and Albert Mooring has 9 of them, including both of tonight's 3. And here's Mooring trying to make it 3 threes tonight.
Nice execution. Dribble to the seam. Defense rotates, jump stop pass, and the guy gets a rhythm jumper. And Mooring certainly, as you said, Bob, one guy who can knock that one down.
16 points for Mooring, the 7th leading scorer in the Big East. Wild shot by Ware.
It's a good play, though.
But he does draw the foul.
UConn comes out after their timeout with Jim Calhoun. Tried to light a fire. Mooring makes it 3. They're extending their defense. Sometimes what you got to do is just put your head down, take it to the rack, and hope something happens. And he kind of just did that. Just sheer determination. And he'll be rewarded with 2 free throws.
Foul on Tony Robertson. So at the line will go Ware as we look at quick glimpse at the 9th winningest active coach in the United States, Jim Calhoun. And you can throw all the numbers out, and you take a half hour to read them all, Bob, starting with 582 career wins. You know what I think is the most impressive of all? Jim Calhoun is 24 and 13 in NCAA tournament play.
Yep.
That'll get it done.
Certainly
11 games over 500.
That pretty impressive banner hanging right behind us. There's no question about it. He offered me my first job, Coach, when he was at Northeastern. Offered an assistant's job. All might have turned out differently, Robert.
And you turned it down, huh?
Well, Hofstra had offered me the job 2 days before I took it. I couldn't back out of that. Who do you think I am? I was going to mention a guy by name, but I won't. Nice jump stop in the lane and finish. Well, there have been some coaches who have done that, taking jobs and turn around and left.
You wouldn't be referring to Jim Harrod.
Well, let's not say, we won't say in New York. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
McLagan lost his footing. Ball loose on the floor and a held ball created by Edmund Saunders. Possession arrow pointing toward Brown. First, Bob, your brother Jim was an assistant coach here at UConn under D. Rowe. You had a chance to, we both did chat with the former UConn head coach, D, before the game tonight.
Is there anyone in the world who doesn't like D?
Know?
Well, doesn't know and doesn't like him.
No.
He's the best. Everyone loves D, and that included our family. Jimmy loved D very much. And had a wonderful time here. My niece was born here, so you definitely have some ties to Stores. Of course, that was back in the old Yankee Conference days, so a little bit different. But it was a wonderful experience even then.
Hunt and the foul. Robertson with the foul, and Hunt showing his variety of skills offensively and the many different ways he can score here in the second half.
He's made a believer of a lot of people because this is another tough shot. Not bad defense. Going to his left, shoots it back, leaning to his right, draws the foul and finishes it. He has scored a bunch of different ways tonight, Bob. This kid is a very, very fine player and only a sophomore, as I mentioned before. They certainly have a lot to build on at Brown in the Ivy.
Got 18 points tonight. Honorable mention, all Ivy selection last year as a freshman. Mooring got bumped, no call, but he hits the shot anyway.
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about the kids, and we can't emphasize enough how far they go may very well depend on that guy, because he has been their one consistent shooter. And when they need a bucket right now, you still put it in his hands, and good things happen. That was a tough shot going left. Made it look easy.
Well, Jim Calhoun said that we're going nowhere unless we have solid years out of Albert Mooring and Suleiman Ron, the two veterans. Two of the three veterans.
More than solid. They need pretty close to spectacular, and they're capable of doing it. Certainly Mooring is. Anyway, offensively, I don't think there's any question.
Foul on Butler will be his second. And to the free throw line will go Elahi Nualiatia. Went to Lower Merion High School with Kobe Bryant and then to Northfield Mount Hermon School. Leads Brown in rebounding, field goal shooting, and block shots. Last year as a freshman, 5 times he was named the Ivy League Rookie of the Week. 15-point UConn lead with 9:18 to go. The Huskies have won the last 9 meetings in this series. Last time they met December 18th, 1961. Here comes Hunt. 4-on-3, Brown break. An open 3 for Martin. Rebound off the hands of Mooring to Nualiatia. Nice spin move in the lane. His shot rejected. And here comes Talik Brown. Down the lane, hands off to Saunders, gets it back. Not very good spacing on that one, but Saunders picks up the loose change, and Jim Calhoun is very hot at Talik Brown for that lack of spacing.
That's a bit of an understatement. But he was not pleased, needless to say. And we talked about earlier about how Talik has made the good decisions coming to a jump stop at the free throw line. I'm going to guess, I heard Jim Calhoun speak at a coaching clinic once, and he said, I should be able to watch your practice for 15 minutes and know what's important to your team. I'm going to guess based on that, stopping at the free throw line in transition is something he must emphasize, and with good reason.
To get information on your favorite Big East team, go online at www.bigeast.org for all the basketball and conference news from around the Big East. Jim Calhoun won 250 games at Northeastern and 332 here at UConn. He's 201 games over 500 as the head coach at UConn now in his 15th season.
And out there with the fire raging. These are not easy games to coach in because no matter what you do, you're not quite sure it's enough. It's hard to really gauge because, quite frankly, the talent difference is so vast. Not with this guy. This guy can play. And Brown deserves a lot of credit for a young team. They've come back here in the second half. It's difficult for Jim Calhoun to gauge what the priority should be. He's clearly not very happy right now.
Nualiatia with a couple of points inside. And again, we mentioned earlier, Glenn Miller says we want to be able to run our stuff no matter what the scoreboard says. They're running their stuff with great frequency here in the second half. Kick out Tony Robertson for three. So Robertson hits only the second three-pointer of the season for UConn by someone other than Albert Mooring.
Well, that's something you can get out of a game like this. Get some other guys some confidence from out behind that arc. But you don't want to just start firing threes. You have to get it out of your offense, and that time UConn did.
On the right, it's Martin. Inside the 8-minute mark, 18-point UConn lead. Huskies 3-1, Brown 1-2. The lone win over High Point. Baseline drive, then kick out to Nualiatia. He's stripped by Talik Brown. And here comes UConn. He goes behind the back. That time he stopped at the foul line. And Butler is fouled and is wincing in pain.
I guess when you win a national championship, there are some latitudes. Jim Calhoun gets to come out a lot further on the court than I did when I coached. He's practically inside the three-point line right now. I thought he was trying to spot up for a J right there. Watch it again. The wraparound dribble comes to the foul line. There's where the pass is made. Still didn't stop, but he did make the pass in the right place. And then the foul. Butler, that didn't particularly strike me as a dirty play of sorts.
No.
They were just playing hard.
Well, not only that, but Hunt did his best to try to
Catch
break Butler's fall. Butler with a double-double tonight with 13 points and 10 rebounds in his second collegiate game. Sat out the first 3 games, suspended by the NCAA because of a violation that concerned the financing of part of his prep school education at Maine Central Institute. We have certainly seen a rash of such suspensions around the country.
A mess of epic proportions and not easy to straighten out by any stretch of the imagination.
Etheridge to Nualiatia. Butler nearly picked it off. Left side, Etheridge. And away from the play, we'll get a holding call on the Huskies. So they played solid defense for 21 seconds, only to be called for a foul. And that'll bring us to an official timeout. 7:15 to go. Technical foul on Jim Calhoun. Whoa! UConn by 18. Tonight's game has been brought to you by BMW. Test drive the ultimate driving machine at your local BMW Center. As we went to break, Jim Calhoun whistled for a technical foul by John Cowell. 7:15 to go. UConn by 18. And Calhoun, Bob, cannot possibly be pleased with UConn's defense here in the second half. Brown 13 of 21 from the floor in the second half.
I don't think there's any question that's the source of his frustration. He's waiting for them to turn it back up to the level they had in the first half. But you know what? Sometimes you got to give the other guy credit. Brown, I've been fortunate enough to be on UConn's side of a game like this and unfortunate enough to be in Brown's side in games like this. And they were down 20 at the half, Brown was. And I know Glenn Miller told his team, look, fellas, let's go out and try and win this second half. That's our battle. And right now they're up 2. And that's the way you've got to look at it. If you're building a program, sometimes they may seem like small victories, but there's a look at Coach Miller. That's what you try and do. And this is important for them. If they could win the second half against a team like UConn on the road, clearly would be a very, very significant step for them.
Jesse Wood missing the first of the 2 technical free throws. Makes the second. Wood led Brown in 3-point field goals a year ago with 51. So Brown had the ball when the technical was called, so they keep the ball, and off the inbound, Nualiatia with the offensive rebound and putback. He's been all over the place here in the second half.
Very impressive in the second half, and he's going to have a good year for them to compete in the Ivies. Some people think Brown could be 4th, 3rd, maybe even the Ivies. Some don't have many higher than 6th or 7th, so it's kind of hard to get a feel because they're so young. But they certainly have some bright future based on what we're seeing in the second half.
Lead is 15. The shot clock at 10. Haven't had to mention that very often on UConn possessions tonight. And Butler throws up the three.
Well, that's
or it was a 2. I think the foot was on the line.
Yeah, it
We'll
was
call
a 2.
it a 2.
That's what they do. Obviously, shot clock runs down. They spread the floor, give it to Butler, let him try and create at the top with his size, his shooting ability. Very, very tough to defend.
Nice back cut away from the play by Martin. Misses the shot, but draws the foul.
Yeah, but that's what Jimmy Calhoun's very upset about. This is the flex cut that they've seen literally 50 times in the course of just tonight. And to be that open means that a couple things aren't happening. The guys weak side are not jumping to the ball quick enough because they're getting beat to the block. And the cutters around the lane, even though you can't chuck cutters, you can still step out and make them take a little bit more time. They're not doing that. The guys are just coming right down the lane and getting easy looks.
4th foul on Tony Robertson. At the line, Mike Martin was named the Western Massachusetts High School Player of the Year last year. Jim Calhoun was telling me yesterday, Bob, you look at this team, and with the exception of Albert Mooring, everyone else is either new or has a different role.
Well, that's the big thing.
Suleiman Wan wasn't the starting center the last 4 years.
Absolutely.
Jake Bosca was. Colin Elamine was the point guard the last 3 years. Kevin Freeman was the power forward the last 4 years. So now you have Saunders in a different role this year, Wan in a different role, Mooring in the same role, and then everyone else is new.
That is as big an adjustment as bringing freshmen in, is to take solid supporting players and try and turn them into lead players. And that's why I said these early games are important. I think he'd like to see a little bit more out of those lead guys in situations where it's gotten rough tonight. We saw Mooring step up. I'd make that big 3 when they were struggling a little bit. That's what he's going to look for.
16-point UConn lead. Cox gets the screen from Butler. Then down low, Selby backs his man in and hits the tough turnaround.
Nice delivery and a very strong move on the block. First time we've really seen him step up and make the individual play tonight.
Selby played on the National Junior College Championship team last year at Southeastern Community College in Iowa. First year in the UConn program.
If you've ever gone out to that tournament out in Kansas too, and you talk about an embarrassment of riches for talent. There's some great players out there. So that speaks highly to be on that team, there's no question.
Nualiatia down low. Shot clock running down. It's a 3. Turnaround Etheridge. And the rebound pulled down by Butler. That time a good defensive sequence by UConn. And as Talik Brown drives before he dribbles it off his foot, he draws the foul.
That was got to be a possession that pleases Jim Calhoun. 5 guys, 35 seconds of solid defensive stance, positioning, get the rebound off the difficult left-handed shot because of the time pressure, and then in transition draw the foul. That was about as good an up and down possessions they've had in this half, and then they give it away on an inbounds play.
3rd foul on Earl Hunt. The inbound picked off by Martin. Hunt for 3. He's got 21 points. It's the 15th time in his career that he scored 20 or more.
Impressive. Had a good council down in Maryland. That solid Catholic school league, private school league down in the Washington suburbs, and a steal.
Hunt with the steal. 3-on-2 Brown break. Ware drawing the foul on Talik Brown. It's a 15-point game with 4:44 to go. And Ware, a junior from Washington, D.C., who had a career-high 16 on opening night against Wagner, will go to the line.
Well, we'll take a look again. The pass gets a hand in the passing lane. Coaches teach that all the time. Good things happen. And then again, the very simple little left-handed bounce pass in transition, just enough to give an angle to Ware to draw the foul and go to the line. Very simple stuff there. And as we said, that's can't be spectacular all the time. Just the simple act of getting your hands up in the passing lane created the turnover, and then the simple little one bounce pass, the left hand off the dribble. Very nice by the guy who's clearly one of the best players in the Ivy League, Earl Hunt.
Foul on Talik Brown, his first 8 on UConn. 80-67 Huskies. Brown shooting 60% from the floor in the second half after only 31% in the first 20 minutes. They only had 8 field goals at halftime.
Here's part of the problem. They're not getting anything out of this attack in the zone. Remember the first half, they were getting it on the baseline, getting drives to seams. Look at this. There's been 6 passes all on the perimeter. Nothing attacking. They haven't even attempted to get the ball inside. I realize they're running some clock, but they clearly have got to attack a little bit.
Talik Brown spins, finds Butler down low, draws the foul before the shot on Nualiatia. And that will be his 4th. And that's 7 on the Bears, so that should send the Huskies to the line to shoot the 1-and-1. Yet to hear the horn from the scorer's table, but indeed that is foul number 7.
They're indicating now it's 1-on-1, and they'll go shoot it. That was a good attacking move by Brown. Took it to the seam, and that's, again, they got something on the baseline by driving it from the top. But the first half, they really, everything they were running, were exploiting their quickness and size on the baseline. They haven't done that nearly as effectively in the second half.
So Butler will go to the free throw line where he is 5 of 8 tonight. The last time UConn lost a game to a non-conference New England opponent was the University of Hartford. It was December 29th, 1986. Just about 6 weeks, less than 6 weeks into Jim Calhoun's first year at UConn. And the Huskies have won 69 straight games since then against non-Big East New England opponents. Trying to make it 70 in a row tonight with a win over Brown, up 15 with 4 minutes left. On the left, Hunt finds Etheridge. Nice pass down low to Martin, who lays it in. Martin's really struggled from the field tonight. He had missed 11 of his first 12 before that one.
Really, if Glenn Miller wanted to see execution for 40 minutes tonight, he's got to be pleased with these last 16 plus, because that was right off the blackboard. That seal down on the post, good delivery for the easy layup inside.
Robertson, shot clock at 10. Saunders, feet inside, deflected, and winds up in the hands of Butler. So Butler with 19, one shy of equaling the 20 he scored in his first collegiate game last Wednesday against Louisville and Maui.
I don't know if they're trying to run clock UConn, but they're just not attacking, and made a very difficult passing angle. Frankly, they got fortunate. The pass was deflected from Saunders. It should have been a turnover.
Etheridge driving on Saunders, head fake, lays it in.
He got away with the travel. Not too sure, but as you said, good head fake. Froze Saunders. He got the easy one. Now, this, again, it looks like they're trying to run some clock, but watch how long they go before they get the ball into the lane in any kind of attacking position. The first half, we saw them really attacking around the baseline. I'm somewhat surprised at this. I don't think they really need to milk the clock to win this game, but again, you work on things in the early part of the season. That's why Jim Calhoun's had the success he's had. It's tough to turn it on and off, and they're clearly tentative right now.
Turnover UConn, Hunt for 3. He's got 24, and all of a sudden it's a 10-point game with 2:20 remaining. 24 points for Earl Hunt, the sophomore from Rockville, Maryland, who is 4 for 5 from 3-point range. Talik Brown.
Want to double him.
Nice penetration move to set up Butler, who has exceeded his, well, I guess it sounds kind of silly to say career. I only play one game, but he scored 20 points in his first game.
Going all
got
the way
21 in his second.
All the way back. Let's check the books. I think it was last week that he set that, Bob.
And Butler combining with Robertson for a steal, but called for the discontinued dribble, bringing us to our final TV timeout. 1:45 remaining. UConn up 12. We've seen a lot from Caron Butler tonight, Bob.
Well, that was kind of fortunate. That was off the lucky pass by Saunders, but the next play is off the beautiful dish by Talik Brown. You can't double team him. Gives it to Butler, and he knows what to do with it. UConn by 12.
Glenn Miller's Brown Bears acquitting themselves quite well, trailing 16th ranked UConn by 12 with 1:45 to go. When you talk about Brown University, among the proud alums, John Heisman, Joe Paterno, Steve Jordan, the great tight end, and who's that name at the bottom of the screen? Whatever happened to Chris? There's what happened.
What do you
to
know? He's here.
Chris Berman in the house tonight. Very proud alumnus, class of '77. He warned Bob Valvano and me before the game. He says, keep it balanced tonight, guys.
We've done our best, Boomer. Chris told us that when he announced they were 6-20. So, you know, announcers sometimes keep the records of the teams they broadcast for. Not a harbinger of the great things that was going to come for him, I guess, but certainly he must not have been the cause for that. Proud Brown alum here. Got to be happy with the way his alma mater's played the second half.
Down low, Hunt posts his man Talik Brown, backs him in. He's got 26 points.
Set play out of the timeout to get it to your best player and put it down on the block. He knew what to do with it. That kid can really play. He's done a little bit of everything. Back to the basket, drive, penetrate, hit the three.
He's got an even 100 points on the year now, and this is the 4th game for Brown.
Well, Jim Calhoun must be proud of his former assistant.
Yep.
He has schooled Glenn Miller very well. He was very instrumental in Miller getting the job, in fact, at Brown. And I'm sure he's not really in the mood to talk about how proud he is of his old assistant, but I know he is because they've done a good job, Brown, tonight. Get a steal.
Maury Ware lays it up too hard. Rebound Butler, and then Edmund Saunders. Look out. 20 points and 12 rebounds for Edmund Saunders. At the other end, Saunders yanks down rebound number 13 with 40 seconds to go and a 12-point UConn lead. About a 6-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Malik Brown defended by Omari Ware. Back to the midcourt line to Robertson with the shot clock at 10. Robertson makes his move.
Nice move. Too bad.
Can't finish. Rebound Nualiatia. Shot clock off. On the break, laying it up and in is Jess Wood to pull Brown within 10, and that'll do it.
Glenn Miller's got to be happy his team played unselfish, smart basketball right till the final buzzer. And very, very fitting ending, I guess, because the guy trying to build a program executes what he wants to see his team do right till the final buzzer, and the guy who's got the program that should win does just that. UConn 88-78, spotty at times.